Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos. Boker Tov, good morning. And Bruchim Habaim, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here with us to celebrate Shabbat. It's been a long time since we've had such a full sanctuary. I feel I have to step up so I can see all of you at the back and make sure. There you go, I know, and wish everyone well and how exciting it is to see you here to celebrate Shabbat and to celebrate a joyful occasion in the lives of two families and two young women as Livy and Liv become bat mitzvah here in the midst of family, friends, and members of our congregation, Temple Road of Shalom. It's also an incredibly happy day for our community itself. Every time a young person steps into the role of young adult, you know, it's another affirmation of the continuation of values in the world, our Jewish tradition moving on. It's all good, and we're very happy to celebrate in the midst of such a difficult time for our world, for our community, the people in Ukraine, in Europe. We really want to affirm and raise up values that both girls are bringing to this service. And we're glad you're a part of that. Some of you might be from other congregations, some of you from other religious traditions. Let me take a moment to help you feel at home. First of all, our prayer book. It's the smaller navy blue book at your seats. So if you're in the front row, it's right underneath. Everyone else, it's in front of you. And if there aren't enough books, we have more in the back. Liv and Livy will be leading us in worship. As you would imagine, they'll be inviting you to read with them, to sing with them, and we hope you will feel comfortable doing that. We hope there'll be something in our service that speaks to you, that creates a sense of spirituality for you. And probably the best way to do that is in song. Are we singing before? We are going to sing some more. Over to you.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you. It's so nice to be together. And we will do a lot of singing. Liv and Livy will lead us in song and prayer. And we hope that you'll feel comfortable joining along with us, maybe in some new melodies, but hopefully some that are familiar as well. Perhaps this next one is one of those familiar melodies. If you look in your program, you'll see the words to this beautiful song. You actually walked under the words when you came into this congregation, our sanctuary this morning. Vasuli mikdash v'shachanti betocham. We know that we come together on a beautiful day for a beautiful moment, and when we do so, when we join our voices, when we join our hearts in prayer, we know that God joins us in this place. So I hope you'll join us in the Hebrew and in the English of this song. Oh God, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
And before we turn to Livy and Liv to be our leaders in this morning's worship service, it's our custom here at Rhodes Shalom to pause at this moment in our service to give their parents a private moment to speak their own words of love and blessing on such a special day. So we turn now to invite Matt and Melissa to stand with Livy, and Eric and Sarah to stand with Liv as they take a private moment themselves. I invite you to take your own time to prepare yourselves with worship, either through our program or our prayer book or your own thoughts.
Lechi lach, to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha, to a place you do not know. Lechi lach, on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. Lechi lach. We turn now to the beginning of our worship service on page 188. I hope you'll join me in this song of gratitude for our ability to join together in song with all the instruments of the world, but especially with our own voices. The chorus is just the word hallelujah, so I hope you'll join your voice with mine. turn now to page 195 for the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. If you feel comfortable, I invite you to please rise and join me. Page 195.
Please join me in Yotzer Or if you are comfortable with the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer Or uvorei choshev, osei shalom uvorei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim aleha b'rachamim, uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid, Maaseh Bereshit. Marabu Maasecha Adonai, Kulam B'chokhma Asita, Mal'ah Haaretz Kinyanecha. Yitbarach Adonai Eloheinu the letter, Al Sheba Maaseh Yadecha, Ve'al Meorei Or She'asita, Yifa'aru Chasela, Or Hadash Al Zion Ta'ir, V'nizkeh Kulanu the road. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Our service continues on page 198 with the first paragraph of Ahava Rabbah. Please join me. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu, Adonai Eloheinu, Gidol al Yitera, Hamalta Aleinu, V'avor Avoteinu, Ve'imotenu, Shabbat Huvecha, Bat Lamdim Hukei Haim, Kentechanenu Utalamdenu, Hamrachem Rachem Aleinu, V'tem B'libenu Lehavim, Ulehaskil, Lishmoa Lilmod Ulamed, Lishmor V'la'asot Ulkayim, Et kol divrei Talmud Toratecha be'ahava. We continue in English responsively on the next page. O God, inspiration and guide for all, you have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear, in every land and every age. Your children have heard you and imagined you in separate ways, and yet, O God, you are one, unifier of humanity.
We give thanks for the sages and teachers who bring us understanding of your will. Gratefully we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose.
May the teachings of our ancestors live on in our minds, and the passion for righteousness stir in our hearts. Help us to live so that our daily conduct reveals the beauty and wisdom of your truth. Baruch atah Adonai, Habocher ve'amo Yisrael, ve'ahava.
Please be seated. I'm going to sit down too. You're doing great. Okay, got it.
Please join me as we chant Ve'ahavta together on page 201. Ve'ahavta Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha u'kol nafshecha u'vechol meodecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi mitzvavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinam tamim levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'letecha v'derech uv'shabecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'chayu letotafo bein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem ekol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'Elokechem. Ani Adonai Elokechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elokechem. Please join me in English. Love Adonai your God with every heartbeat, with every heart, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work, whether you are tired or rested. Let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai your God. Page 203. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect. The song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content. Your soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Israel, 'Tzvot Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Tzvot Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Tzvot Yisrael,
Please rise.
Go for it.
We continue with the tefillah on page 205. Please join me as we chant the prayers on the next 3 pages together. Adonai sefatartita uvia gitehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Vekonei Hakol Vezoher Hasted Avot V'Ima'ot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Leman Shemo Be'ahava Melech Hoser U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Etzrat Sarah. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens, they felt you in their heavens, they felt you in their hearts, they sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Together. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. We continue together on the next page with Givurot. Hata gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol, hata ra le'oshia, mashi harua, umorid hagashem, mechakel hayim behesed, mechaye hakol berahamim ramim. Somech noflim verofei holim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunatom, livshenei afar. Mihamocha ba'agivurot, umidom elach, melech melid, umekayem, Umatzmiah Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lehahayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hakol. We continue with the Kiddusha on page 208.
Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב היה נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, אדירנו אדוני
שבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Page 210. To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue with the singing of the Yismehu on page 211.
Great.
ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת, ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. המקדשי שבת, המקדשי שביעי שבת, המקדשי שבת, המקדשי שביעי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך, ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקדשתו שבת, והשביעי רצית בו וקדשתו שבת, חמדת ימים אותו קראת, זכר מעשה בראשית. ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת, שומרי שבת, וקוראי עונג שבת.
Those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. The people that hallow Shabbat will delight in your goodness. For being pleased with the seventh day, you hallowed it as the most precious of days, drawing our attention to the work of creation. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu ritzei v'imnuhatenu. The meaning of Shabbat is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week, we live under the tyranny of things of space. On Shabbat, we try to become more attuned to the holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share what is internal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Baruch atah Adonai mikadesh haShabbat.
Won't you join me at the top of page 212? Reading together, if you're comfortable with the Hebrew. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael utefilatam ba'ahava tikabel utehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha baruch ata Adonai she'otecha levadecha be'yira na'avod. And turning over to page 214, we come to our prayer of gratitude. And certainly in the midst of what the world has presented to us this past week, all of us sitting here in safety, sitting here surrounded by people whom we love and love us, we need to offer a prayer of gratitude. We hope others will do this soon in other parts of the world. The poetic version of this prayer begins at the bottom of the page, and it includes the Hebrew words that we can all read together, Modim anachnu lach, which means we are indeed sincerely grateful. For the expanding grandeur of creation, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations, Modim anachnu lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons, Modim anachnu lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements, Modim anachnu lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression, Modim anachnu lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared, Modim anachnu lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fairer world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom, Modim anachnu lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose, Modim anachnu lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulacha ne'eh lehodot. And finally, that which we value the most, peace, a prayer for peace this morning, Sim Shalom. Please join us.
Sim Shalom, Tova u'bracha, Chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, barcheinu yotzreinu kulanu ke'echad, be'or panecha, ki be'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, chen v'chesed v'rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, Torat chaim ve'avat chesed, ve'ahavat chesed, u'tzedakah u'bracha ve'rachamim, ve'chaim ve'shalom. Sim shalom, tova u'bracha, chen v'chesed ve'rachamim ve'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael amecha, ve'tov, ve'tov be'einecha, ve'varech et amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שים שלום, טובה וברכה, חן וחסד ורחמים ורחמים עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל ישראל עמך.
After that joyful song for peace, we take a peaceful moment for our own personal prayers, our own private reflections.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbos, Cantor.
It's so nice to be together this morning, isn't it?
Yep.
Just feels so wonderful to see and be with all of you today to celebrate these two incredible young women, Liv and Livy, who have already so beautifully led us in worship. Mazel Tov, you've done a great job so far. You both led with such poise up here on the bima. And this moment has come with a ton of hard work, dedication, and devotion to becoming a bat mitzvah, a Jewish young adult. And we're so glad all of you are here to see this wonderful moment in their lives, in the lives of their family and friends and our congregation. It really is a beautiful moment that we share together. Both Liv and Livy will, in a moment, get a chance to hold the Torah. It will be passed down through the generations into their arms. And after that, they will both read from our sacred scroll, as well as share a blessing for the Torah reading. And it is at that moment when the two of them will officially become Benot Mitzvah, Jewish young adults, a moment of transition into an incredible new phase in their Jewish journey, bringing them into Jewish adulthood. And we know that they'll go wonderful places from here as well. It is with much gratitude, I'm sure, in their hearts that they have reached this moment, because it is not without a lot of help that you got here, right? A lot of help from, of course, their devoted and loving parents, but also to their grandparents, who have given them such a shining light to follow as they continue into this new phase of life, into their adult life. And I know that the two of them, as well as their parents and all of us, are so grateful for the wonderful relationship they have with their grandparents. So it's my honor to wish a mazel tov to all of the grandparents who I'm sure are kvelling at this moment, right? Feeling all the gratitude and love for their granddaughters. So a mazel tov to Liv's grandparents, Lois and Peter Goodstein, and Annalisa and Jack Rosenfeld. Annalisa, who's not able to be here today, but we wave a big hello to you all the way in Boston, and we miss you and feel you so much here with us today in the sanctuary. And to Livy's grandparents, Gail and Terry Hirsch, and to Glenda and Bub Grossman, a mazel tov to you. We will take out the Torahs now and pass down the Torah into Liv and Livy's arms. We invite all of the grandparents who are here today to join us just on the floor at the bottom of our bima steps. And I invite the congregation to please rise for our Torah service. We continue on page 243.
Livy, as you receive this Torah, remember its teachings, its wisdom, and its history. Let it guide you this day and all days. As you embrace it, so may you embrace what it has meant for the Jewish people over generations. Judaism is history and hope, learning and laughter. We pray that the story of the Jewish people continues brightly with you as you grow as a person and as a Jew. May you embrace the Torah your whole life.
Liv, May you cherish this message of this Torah. It is a guidebook passed down from generations of Jews before you who have kept Judaism alive. We take great pride this day in your acceptance of Torah. This responsibility requires strength, knowledge, commitment, and love. Today, you have brought all of these qualities to the Jewish people and therefore are part of the link of the chain of Jewish tradition. May you embrace Torah your whole life.
We continue together with the words of Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. God Elul Adonai iti, unerumema Shemo yachdav. Lecha Adonai Adonai, Adonai, Behold, Bashamayim uvaretz, behold, Bashamayim uvaretz, Echad Adonai Hamanacham, ve'amikaseh lechol lerosh.
Please be seated.
The Torah portion for this Shabbat that Olivia and I will be reading is called Pekudei. It comes from the book of Exodus, and my Hebrew reading begins with chapter 40, verse 1. In this portion, Aaron is anointed and consecrated, and the tabernacle is ready to be erected. In Livy's reading, while the tabernacle is erected, God's presence creates a cloud cover over the tent of meeting. You can find the Torah reading in the Torah commentary books located at your seats, beginning on page 632.
For the first Aliyah this morning for Liv's reading, it's an honor to call upon her grandparents, Lois and Peter Goodstein. Yamdu le'Aliyah Torah.
Welcome. Here's your page, or same one. It's exactly the same. Keep it on. Do this for you then. Go ahead.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol hamim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, bayom hachodesh harishon, be'echad lachodesh, takim emishkan ohel moed, vesamta sham et Aaron haidut, vesakota al Haron et haparochet.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. Thank you guys. Congratulations.
Beautiful.
Won't you stand with the cantor?
Over on my
Yes.
left. For the second Aliyah for Liv's reading, it's an honor to call upon her aunt, Helen Rosenfeld, and her grandfather, Jack Rosenfeld. Yamdu l'Aliyah Torah.
Welcome. Thank you.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach
Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful.
Amen. V'natata et hakior et hosh.
Start again.
Okay.
Amen.
Amen. V'haveta et hashulhan v'harakta et erko v'haveta et hamenorah v'ha'aleta et neroteha v'natata et mizbah hazavha liktoret lifnei Aaron ha'edut v'samta et masach peta lamishkan v'natata et mizbah ha'olah lifnei peta mishkano hamoed.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'toheinu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Congratulations to you. Congratulations. Congratulations. Won't you guys stand with the cantor if
Would you
you're
like to
comfortable?
join me here on the left? It's such an honor, Liv, to call you up officially as Bat Mitzvah for the very first time by your Hebrew name. Tamod, 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 habachura habat mitzvah, Avigail bat Michael v'Sara le'Aliyah Torah chazak.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
V'natata et hakior beno hamoed uvein hamizbeach v'natata shamayim v'samta et hechatzer saviv v'natata et mizbach sha'ar hechatzer v'lakata et shemen hamishcha Umashachta et hamishkan ve'kol asher bo ve'kidashta et otov ve'et kol kelav v'haya kodesh Umashachta et masbeach ha'olah ve'kol kelav Ve'kidashta et hamizbeach v'haya hamizbeach kodesh kodashim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata betoheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Won't you hand the yad to Livy?
Beautiful job, Liv. Fabulous chanting from the Torah. We'll invite Livy to join us at the Torah. Mazel tov to the two of you. Our Torah reading continues on page 634 in your Torah commentaries with Exodus 40, chapter 40, verse 26. And for Livy's first Aliyah, it's an honor to call upon her grandparents, Gail and Terry Hirsch. Yamdu l'Aliyah Torah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'olam V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Vayasem et mitzvah hazahav bochel moed lifnei haparohet v'yakter alav ketoret samim kasher tziva Adonai et Moshe. Vayasem et masa hapeta lamishkan ve'et mitzvah halah sam Peta Mishkan Ochel Moed V'ya'al alav Et hala Ve'et haminha Kasher Tziva Adonai Et Moshe.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natalanu Et Torato.
Torat Emet.
Barayei Olam Nata B'Tokenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Beautiful job. Thank you, guys. Won't you stand with the
Koa,
cantor?
stand
Congratulations.
here for the
to you.
second Aliyah for Livy's reading. It's an honor to call upon her cousins, Evan and Jory Leach. Yamdu l'Aliyah Torah.
There you go, guys.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Vayasem et hakior ben ochel moed uvein hamizbeach vayitain sama mayim l'rotza v'rahatu mimenu Moshe v'acharon uvanav et yedechem v'et raglechem bevoam el ochel moed Uvkorvatam El Hamizbeah Yirhatzu Kasher Tziva Adonai Et Moshe Vayakem Et Hechatzer Saviv Lamishkan V'Lamizbeah Vayitain Et Masa Sha'ar Hechatzer Vayihol Moshe Et Hamaha.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'chayei Olam Nata B'Tochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Great job, you too.
Koa,
Good job.
beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank
Have
you.
a seat. For the third Aliyah, Olivia, it's such an honor to call you up officially as Bat Mitzvah for the very first time by your Hebrew name. Tamod, 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 habachura habat mitzvah, Yaakov vered bat Moshe umalka kela la'aliyah Torah chazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vaychas Anan Et Ochel Moed Ufod Adonai Malay Et Hamishkan V'lo yachol Moshe lavo el Ohel Moed ki shahan alav he'anan v'lo ufod Adonai malei et hamishkan. Ufhe'alot he'anan me'al hamishkan yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol masechem. V'im lo ye'aleh he'anan v'lo yisu ad yom he'aloto ki anan Adonai al hamishkan yomam v'esh tehiyeh laila bo la'enei kol beit Yisrael b'chol masechem. Hazak hazak v'nitchazek. Great job, Lily. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Beautiful job, Livy. Fabulous reading from the Torah. Both you and Liv did such a gorgeous job. Mazel tov. Incredibly hard work and beautiful chanting. We continue with Dressing the Torah on page 252 with Vizot HaTorah. I'd like to invite up Grace and Gabe to help us dress the Torah. Please rise. Continue with Eitz Chaim as we put the Torah away in the ark.
Take your mask off. We're doing speeches.
In the words of Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. As you probably heard earlier, my Torah portion is about building the tabernacle. A group of committed citizens in the desert came together and worked together with God's guidance to build a sanctuary. After the building was completed, God rested in the tabernacle. Just like the Israelites faced challenges while marching through the desert for 40 long years, today we face a lot of challenges. Discrimination, sickness, failure, poverty, the list goes on. Not to mention the fact that we are living through a pandemic at this moment in time. And just like the Israelites, we need to build a strong community to face these challenges. Building a holy community takes a lot of work, and each of us need to do our part. In my opinion, something important to be able to do that is everyone should always make sure other people have what they need. That is why, for my Bat Mitzvah project, I raise money for the National Institutes of Health Friends of Patients of the NIH. Their goal is to make sure that all the people that go to NIH for medical research and treatment have what they need in their daily lives. This can include food, housing, clothing, and lots more. If it weren't for this kind of help that a community can provide, they might not be able to pay their bills and might not have enough food to eat. They also provide emotional support. Being treated at the NIH can often be a patient's last resort and mean life or death for these patients. I was so inspired by the mission of Friends of Patients of the NIH that I teamed up with a few friends to raise money for the organization. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to nih.gov. There are many ways that people can help keep and create a loving and supportive community every day. Some ways can include donating any clothing, time, and tzedakah, which means donating to charity. For example, Road of Shalom has an amazing program known as Feed 'em Fridays. Feed 'em Fridays helps a different group of people each month. During the program, we bag food and sometimes other things and then donate to the group of the week. A second thing we should do if we are to build a holy community is to make sure that everyone is included. It is all about how people came together and built the tabernacle. For me, this translates into many daily life situations. In a perfect world, everyone would be included and treated respectfully all the time, but can be tough in reality. We recently welcomed a new family to the neighborhood. I'm the oldest neighbor, so I find most of the time I am making sure everyone feels included. It is definitely a hard skill to make sure everyone is not feeling left out, but it's so important. Becoming a bat mitzvah was a long process for me. I worked for hours on everything I needed to learn, but I think it was definitely worth it. I learned a lot about the Jewish community and what it means to be a Jewish adult. Anytime someone would ask me, "What's a bat mitzvah?" I would always say, "I'll read from a special Jewish book known as the Torah and become more involved and a part of the Jewish community." Becoming a Jewish adult means I will take on new challenges. I will be more responsible for everything I do and will need to do a little more for myself. I'm sure my parents are happy to hear that. I learned all of my Torah portion prayers, worked on my mitzvah project, and rehearsed everything on a weekly basis, trying to get everything as close to perfect as I could. Of course, I could not have done all that without the help and support from everyone in my life. Mom and Dad, you have always been there for me and encouraged me to keep working. Grace, thank you for tolerating my hours of Hebrew practice. You could lead the service just as well as me at this point. Thank you also to all of my other family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and cousins for supporting me today and always. I'd like to send a special hello to my formor, which means father's mother in Danish, who's watching from Boston. One more big hello to my relatives tuning in from Denmark. Many of you have traveled from far away to get here for this special day, and I'm so grateful and glad to see you. Miss Andrews, my Hebrew teacher, you deserve a special award. You taught me everything I needed to know with patience, encouragement, and love, all over a small FaceTime window on your computer. Not an easy task. Also, a big thank you to all the clergy at this amazing synagogue, Road of Shalom. I started here as a tiny preschooler many years ago, and now I'm taller than my mom and reading from the Torah.
Taller than the rabbi, too.
I don't want to forget to say thank you to all my friends who had put up with my constant talking about this day for the last 3 billion years. Lastly, I want to congratulate Livy Grossman, who I'm so happy to share the bima with today. When we met 10 years ago, we had no idea we would be standing here together. Mazel tov to Livy and the whole Grossman family. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
You ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My Torah portion includes the last sections of the book of Exodus. It is about Moses following God's very specific directions for building the Mishkan and preparing it as a safe place where the Israelites could pray to God while wandering in the desert. Moses worked very hard to complete the Mishkan, which included a courtyard where all the people could gather. This was the last part of their work. Only then, when the courtyard for the people was completed, did a cloud cover the Mishkan, representing God's glory. This cloud stayed with the Israelites as they wandered through the desert with the Mishkan. The cloud would cover them with God's glory in the evening, and only when the cloud rose up in the morning did the Israelites continue their journey through the desert. To me, the fact that God's glory didn't appear until Moses stepped away from the tabernacle into the courtyard with the Israelites means that God's presence is best felt when there is a community of people together. Being a part of community is very important to me. I'm lucky to feel a sense of community in many parts of my life, one of which is capital camps. the camp I attend every summer. This is especially true during Shabbat when we sing and pray together. Much like the Israelites when they were protected by the cloud of God's presence, I feel safe in this community and comfortable being myself. Similarly, in my community in Arlington, I'm surrounded by many wonderful friends. I know that these are the people I can count on and will always have my back. We have fun wherever we go, and I feel safe when I'm with them. If I was about to journey through the desert like the Israelites, these are the people I would want to go with. You are all here today around a modern-day Mishkan or tabernacle. The ark is similar to the altar referred to in my Torah portion. We are all gathered around it in a way that the Israelites would have gathered around the Mishkan. We even have an eternal flame representing God's presence, or the cloud that surrounded the Mishkan. Here at Road of Shalom, we are gathered as a community. We are there for each other. Ever since my first Sunday school class, we have always talked about helping each other. One of the ways we did that was by doing tikkun olam for those in need. We prepared bags and other things those in need could not get themselves. I learned a lot about kindness and giving, even though I was so young at the time. I'm so thankful for what Road of Shalom has taught me. My Mitzvah project also includes helping others. One of the things I did was collect art supplies and deliver them to a children's hospital so the kids could have fun activities to keep them busy. I also collected old crayons and upcycled them to make new ones and put them in the delivery to the hospital. Girl Scout Troop number 50101 helped me make some of the crayons, and it was a great experience for me to lead the younger girls and teaching them to also help others. The fact that we can all be here today in person, I feel more a part of community than ever. I'm so happy everyone came to support me today. I looked forward to this day coming, and it is even better than I could imagine it, because everyone here is my community. Just like Moses, I could not be here alone without the support of so many people. The first people I want to thank for supporting me are all the teachers and all of the clergy from Road of Shalom who have helped me throughout this journey, especially Miss Heller, who's taught me how to chant Hebrew. I also want to thank all my friends for supporting me and believing in me. Liv, I'm so glad we got to share this day. Our families have known each other for years, and it is so special for all of us. Having the same name even makes it more fun for everyone. And I want to thank my family. Gabe, I may not always show this, but I want you to know that you are an amazing brother who is so supportive of me. I love you. My parents have also been so supportive of me in every way. My mom has been working on this with me for the last few months, and I wouldn't be able to do this without her. And all the fun that this community is going to have later tonight is because of her. And I certainly could not have done this without my dad. Not only is he the best tutor in the whole world, he is also an amazing role model to me. I love him so much. We all have an unbreakable bond. My family is my number one community. As I mentioned, I was fortunate to read the last section of one of the 5 books of the Torah. It is part of the Jewish tradition to say after each book, Hazak, Hazak, V'ani Hazek. This means, let us be strong, and let us strengthen others as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, and wow. To, as it was pointed out at when we were practicing for today, we were calling you guys the Oliviot. To Livy and Liv, I get to be the first of so many people here to say Mazal Tov to each of you for a fabulous job today, leading us in worship so beautifully, chanting the Torah so beautifully, and really for me, even more importantly, I know you probably all think, oh, the rabbi wants that Torah read perfectly and all those prayers, but really the most important part of the day is what you just did, which is you looked into this tradition, you looked into a Torah portion, which actually isn't entirely the most inspiring Torah portion because, well, we'll get to that in a minute, and you found meaning. And you found meaning not only for you, but for all of us. In your own way, you inspired us to think about these 2 ideas, which, by the way, are just so perfectly fit together. I mean, Liv, you started out by talking about our commitment to the importance of actually building community, right? You talked about how important it is, whether it was the Israelites in Pikud Day bringing all this stuff to the community so that they could build the tabernacle. And it was so beautiful that Livy, you ended with talking about being a community, right? Why do we need to be together? What do we do when we're together? What do we create? Safe space, caring for others. You can't be Livy without being Liv, and you can't have Livy you can't be live. Oh, you got me, right? You were following. We need both of these ideas. You know, when I looked at the Torah portion this morning, well, those of you who might have been sort of scanning the English as you listened to the Torah being read, so much of it, and really the last few weeks, have been about like the details, like these rings and the pegs and the fabric and the pins and the wood and the more wood. And, you know, it's not so inspiring for most of this Torah portion. I think there's a message there because at the end of 2/3 of this Torah portion is about, you know, building plans and lists of things and all this kind of stuff. And yet at the end of it, after many weeks of things like that, we finally get the story where God comes to dwell in the presence of the Israelite people, which you both, you know, said in different ways. And to me, and I hope you'll remember this amongst the many beautiful things you've written in your own speeches, all of us should remember, the message to this, to me, is that the work, the details, the things that we sometimes think of as trivial unpleasantries, they really matter. It's interesting, God doesn't dwell among the people after the most amazing moment of Mount Sinai, which we read a few weeks ago. Realize that? God doesn't dwell among the people like we talk about today when the Israelites crossed the Sea of Reeds. God dwells amongst us when we do the work, even the work that seems trivial. We could not build this community, this sanctuary, the people who make up this congregation without doing the important work of making the space, of making opportunities for people to be here. A lot of people sometimes tell me like they're looking for this big spiritual moment when they'll feel that God is with them. You know, God is with us sometimes, as Pikudei tells us, when we do the work. The work is not insignificant. Those little details can create a moment for a sacred meeting. Like math class. Did you hear that? A math class. We can create something coming together, doing something very trivial. Yes, there can be something sacred live in math class. Livy's like, not for me. But anyway, when you walked into the sanctuary, you walked under a sentence that we actually sang about as well. When people come together to do sacred work, God dwells among us. That is a precursor to the ending of your Torah portion. Liv and Livy, as you go forward doing all sorts of work in the world, right? I mean, there'll be moments when the work you do, when the relationships you build are very profound and inspiring, and they'll inspire others, they'll inspire yourself. But remember that doing the work is also what creates the sacred moments for someone who is ill, for someone who is on the fringe of society, for someone who needs us. The details, the little work, they too create the opportunity for God, divinity, holiness to be amongst us. So often we're looking for the big moment. This says that even in the detail, God wants. That is what allows God to be with us. So, may it be so in your own lives. May it be so in our lives. We, adults, spend most of our time in the details, in the trivia, in the small stuff. This Torah portion reminds us that those details can make a difference, and really God cares about those as much as the big moments. Sinai only happens once in the entire history of the Jewish people. But building sacred spaces, connecting with other people happens every day. That's the message of Pikudei. You both spoke about that beautifully too. We thank you for the blessing of your leadership and your words. And Cantor, Rhodes, and I, on behalf of all of our clergy, want to thank you for the blessing by bestowing a blessing upon you, a blessing that reminds you to go forward into the world and be a blessing. We want your moms and dads standing with you. And we want your brother Gabe, your sister Grace to come up and be part of this as well. I know the congregation, you want to join in this moment too, so won't you rise at your seats? Liv and Livy, may God bless both of you and may God keep you. As you each have shone so beautifully upon us, may God shine upon you all the days and the weeks and years of your lives. And may God grant you all the things that you need, that you want, that you deserve, but especially shalom, peace. Peace that lives within you, peace that you share with the members of your family, and peace that the two of you, through your many gifts, bring into our world. Amen.
You stood up to say, our tradition is mine. You have now held the Torah. It's been passed on to you. It's our law and our story, and each telling is new. It is said we stood at Sinai, and today you know you're there. You're the promise of a people, a blessing and a prayer. We remain standing and continue with Aleinu L'Shabeach. We return to our prayer books on page 282. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon ha'kol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Please be seated.
On page 287, may we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others, may our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Won't you join me? Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the freedom and of peace. Turning to our prayer of remembrance, beginning on page 288, there are a number of readings, poems, reflections that help us bring our minds and hearts to thinking about those whom we have loved and lost. Sure, there are many members of the extended family who this family wishes could be present today. You are all thinking about those people. Many of us are thinking as well of the members of this congregation who have yahrzeit on this Shabbat or who have passed away recently. We take some time with our thoughts of those people, and in a moment we will join our mourners in the recitation of Kaddish Yatom. The Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. It is our custom for the entire congregation to rise in support of the mourners. Please rise and join me in the recitation of Kaddish Yatom. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbi, v'yalma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mivarach leolam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yithale v'yithalal shmei d'kudisha birchu, leolam b'kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, da'almiran b'alma v'imeru amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace and comfort and strength to all who mourn, to everyone who is grieving here and everywhere, and let us say, amen. Won't you please be seated? We are so pleased to have with us Renee Andrews. She is the president of Kolenu, our volunteer choir. She's also one of our wonderful tutors, and she's brought some gifts and has some announcements to make and greetings if Liv and Livy would join her. Stand that in.
Oops. Shabbat Shalom. Before I turn to our stars of the day, I'd like to just take a brief moment to thank Rabbi Schwartzman and Cantor Rhodes for leading such an inspiring service. It is a joy to be here, really. Thanks also to our maestro and quartet. Your music always makes our services even more beautiful, and we're so glad you're back. And thanks to all those behind the scenes, the geeks who live stream and record our services, and our wonderful security force that is always on top of keeping us safe. It truly does take a village. And now, Livy and Liv, let me be the first non-clergy person to wish you both a sincere mazel tov. As the person who had the pleasure of meeting with Liv, mostly via FaceTime, and let me tell you, I really looked forward to that smile on my iPad every week. For the past 8 months, I know how much work it takes to become a bat mitzvah, and I commend you both on doing such a masterful job. Melissa and Matt, Sarah and Eric, mazel tov to you and your families as well. Liv and Livy, I know I speak for everyone here on the Bima when I say we are so proud of you, your accomplishments, and your commitment to Judaism. Gives me great pleasure to present you with a number of well-earned gifts. That's right? Okay, why don't you hold that?
Thank you.
And you can hold this one, and I will tell you a little bit about what's inside there. You saw briefly this morning a beautiful certificate of bat mitzvah affirming this occasion that Rabbi Schwartzman, Cantor, Rhodes, and I signed before we came into the sanctuary. It was designed by a member of our congregation, and I hope you will display these proudly. Also in there is a copy of our Reform Movement's home prayer book called On the Doorposts of Your House. This is a gift from the women of TRS, Temple Road of Shalom, with the hopes that you will use this guide in the future for your Jewish ceremonies. And I can add that I've referred to my copy of this prayer book, so it's a good one to have. Also in there is a Kiddush cup as a gift from the clergy. It is a hope that you will use this each Shabbat as you continue to celebrate your Jewish life. May it grow with you from juice to wine. Finally, there is an envelope. It contains a gift certificate to use toward travel in Israel during your high school years, and it's courtesy of NIFTY, the North American Federation of Temple Youth. Also inside the envelope is a gift certificate to use for a free Tristy event. It is courtesy of our youth committee and Tristy. Shabbat Shalom to both of you, Livy and Liv. You may take your gifts to your seats and give them to your parents to hold. By way of announcements, both our congregation's weekly e-letter and the latest edition of our monthly connection are available on our website, templeroadofshalom.org, and they contain more announcements of upcoming events at Temple Road of Shalom. Again, thanks to you all for being with us. It really is a delight to look out on a full congregation. Thank you for sharing in the joy of these two families. We hope that you will have other opportunities to be back with our congregation, and we look forward to welcoming you back in the future. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, Renee, and thank you for all you do. Before we end with a final song and a final blessing, just some information that I hope will help you on the next piece of your Shabbat day. Livy and her family look forward to greeting everyone after our service in the school lobby. It's down one floor, and the ways to get there include exiting the sanctuary, doing a really big U-turn to the big stairs that are over there, and going down, or walking down the hall to the elevator, which will also take you downstairs. Liv and her parents look forward to greeting their guests in our social hall. That would be exiting the sanctuary and walking all the way down to the end of the grand hall, and you'll find them there. I think I've got all the checked off.
And if you don't want to keep your program, which you're welcome to do if you'd like, please take it to the back of the sanctuary with you when you leave, so it helps our maintenance staff keep our sanctuary nice and clean. We are on page 338. We'll join together in these words, Am Yisrael Chai. We all join together in affirming life and being together in this beautiful day. I invite you to please rise. We join together in our closing song and benediction. Amen, 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 Yisrael Chai. 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 Oh, Davinu Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Amen, 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 Yisrael 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 Chai. Adonai oz amo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom. May God give strength to all of us and bless us with peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.